Okay, let's talk about daily journaling. So, if you don't yet have a daily journaling habit or practice, probably the most significant thing you can do to improve your day to day life. That's because at its core, we are taking all of that information and jumbled things that are happening inside of our heads, and we are exporting it into our notes. And when we do a dump of our subconscious like this, it's a very freeing experience because we're no longer held on to the perfectionism and the fears and anxieties that hinder both our creativity and our productivity. And it's immensely satisfying to do. So if I click on my own daily reflection page here, which is what I call my daily journal, it's a blank note, but you can see in the incoming backlinks all the days that I've done it. I'm quite religious about it because, again, it's very satisfying to do. It's very calming and something I look forward to every morning. But I'll talk about that more in a second here. First, let's talk about what a daily journal is. It's really just a stream of our consciousness. So anything happening inside of our heads that we record into our notes. So this is very open ended. It could be things you are worried about. It could be things that you're maybe not necessarily worried about, but are just swimming around your head and you seem to be focused on. It could be tasks that you need to do in the day. That's actually what mine typically is composed of. When I wake up in the morning, I just think of everything that I need to do in the day. And it's very relaxing to just export that out of my head. It could be chores that you have to do, errands that you have to run. It might be things that you are responsible for. It could be stress that's happening in your life, maybe related to a family health issue or your own health issue. So this could be anything. And it can also be positive or negative. You might have some thoughts swimming around your head in the morning if you're having an anxious day that are quite negative. But there also might be many things that you are excited and looking forward to in your day. So don't shy away from any of those categories. Capture it all. Again, it's a stream of your consciousness, and your consciousness is everything happening inside of your head. So don't get too caught up on any particular structure, but I'll kind of walk through an example in a moment. Okay, so why do we do a daily journal? Well, I've talked about this a little bit, but it's very calming to our psyche. It's an anxiety exorcism when we release all of these things from our minds into something like our notes. It takes the responsibility off of our brains to remember and keep resurfacing these things so that they're dealt with. It doesn't have to keep doing that because we've recorded everything. It's also quite boosting to confidence because this will depend a little bit on your personality. But when you start recording things, it's often very obvious that our brains are not always very kind to ourselves. And sometimes we focus on either the negatives or the things that we need to do that we haven't done yet. And it's difficult to see the progress that we're making. Doing a daily journal like this makes it really easy to see your progress. So even though the process doesn't really involve going and reviewing your daily reflections, it's oftentimes good not to do that for a while. If you look back on the past, and oftentimes we see the things that we were nervous about or stressed or anxious about are really no longer that important. So that's a very freeing experience as well. And finally, it just increases our productivity and efficiency. If you do regular daily journals like this, you are not only making yourself feel better, but you're actually capturing things that otherwise might have been missed. And these could be ideas, they could be to-do lists that are important. When we capture everything, we are able to kind of hang on to these things that are the most important. And it's easy to prioritize them when we see them just on a note like this in a list. So it's both good for your mental health, but also your productivity. Okay, so let's now move into how to do a daily journal. Well, it's really not that complicated, but there are a couple resources we can pull on. So we can take a note from Julia Cameron's morning pages concept, which is largely what the daily journal is kind of based on. Even if it's not hers specifically, there's a lot of overlap. So write a longhand stream of consciousness. Again, it could be worries, concerns, tasks, chores, hopes, goals, all of that good stuff. Now, Julia Cameron recommends doing this in 3 written pages. I think that length is kind of arbitrary. 3 pages could mean anything depending on how prosaic you are or your handwriting or whatnot. But I think the concept of having a set length is quite sound because the point of writing 3 pages is that it's enough that you get an actual longhand form of your consciousness stream, but it's not so long that you become lost in the narcissism of it, which is kind of a risk. You could just spend all day writing down things about your life and your thoughts and whatnot and go on endlessly. That's not the point of this. The point of this is to, again, export everything happening inside your head so that you no longer have to keep worrying about it and resurfacing it. And finally, just follow where your mind takes you. So you might start off narcissistic in the beginning, or maybe even pessimistic or negative, only to find that you've become thankful and grateful by the end. So, it might look different each day, depending on how you feel or what's happening in your life. That's okay. That's part of the process. Okay. Next is to use a daily note format. So Reflect operates off of a daily note format. And that means that, let me go into my demo brain here. If I go to my daily notes here on my demo brain, I went into this one because it's blank. It's a little easier to show. There's a new note for each day, and it goes on endlessly, and it also goes back to infinity. So you just arrive in your note, and you can do your daily journal off of your daily note each day. Now, if you're not using a application like Reflect that has a daily note format, you can just create a new note for each day. Or if you are handwriting these, start on a new page for each of your daily journaling entries. And you could do this pretty much anywhere. It doesn't need any fancy features, but I will say the daily note format is particularly nice for this. And I didn't put this in my bullets here, but actually having the backlinking feature is quite nice for this because, again, you can just backlink your reflections each day and then get this giant list of everything. So quite convenient. Let's turn it into a daily habit. So I think this is something that's very, very important, but thankfully this is not a difficult habit to develop. A daily journal is something that you should be doing every day. And again, you'll find that it's something you look forward to. That's why I do it every day. It's something I enjoy. And it's also best done in the morning and or evening before bed. So I like to do mine in the morning. I do it every single morning. Sometimes I do an additional one before bed. Kind of helps me sleep to get everything out of my head. Okay. And finally, there's a pro tip here. You can do your daily journaling via audio memos, and then you can use AI to format that for you. So I'll show you what that looks like. But first, let me walk through just an actual example of what my daily journal might look like. So I'm going to create a backlinks note here that says daily reflection, because again, that's what I call my daily journals. And underneath it, I am going to just start a simple bullet list. And I'm just going to start writing everything out in my head. So this is going to be a little challenging because I already did this today. And I don't really remember exactly what I wrote, but let me kind of think about and some things that are on my mind. So one thing is that I have a doctor appointment later I'm kind of nervous about. So I could say I'm nervous about my doctor appointment later today. And I can also say the house next door is redoing their roof, and that's kind of just been bothering me. So I'm annoyed that there is noise in my office all day because of the roof being replaced. Oh, and then I just remembered I'm dog sitting for my sister and I need to give her tick medication. So I need to give Freya her tick medication. I also just felt a little tinge of guilt because I was supposed to call my grandmother yesterday because I haven't talked to her in a while and I forgot. So today I need to call grandma, and then I'm actually going to write, I feel a little guilty. I forgot to call her yesterday. So as you can see, this is very unstructured here. I am just going to keep going like this, and it's going to keep going for a long while because I have lots of tasks and things I need to do today. So some other ones that I wrote in this morning were things around this demo video where I knew this was one of the main tasks I needed to do today, and I wanted to outline it to make sure the quality bar was high. And I kind of just went on a little bit of a tangent like that. And you will find that you will start thinking of new items based on things that you previously wrote in. And again, it's stream of your consciousness. So that's okay. Don't fight that. Let your brain go where it wants to go. Now, I also want to touch on this pro tip here for using audio memos to take a daily journal or a daily reflection, because this is actually how I do mine every day now. So let me go back into my demo brain here into a daily note. And I am going to use the audio memo function here to transcribe my voice and reflect. It's also on the mobile app, which is actually usually where I do it, but today I'm going to do it on the desktop app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a recording and I'm just going to start rambling about my day. Okay, this is my daily reflection. It is in the morning and I'm doing this at the start of my day. It's a Tuesday and I had a pretty productive Monday. So I'm feeling very good about that. And I feel like I had a good start to the week, but I haven't been sleeping very well. I've gotten only 5 hours of sleep the last few nights and I can feel that starting to weigh on me a little bit. I'm also not really sure why I'm not sleeping. So that's kind of annoying me. So I'm not really sure what to fix. I've got a doctor's appointment coming up today that I'm kind of nervous about. It's a medical issue with my hands that's preventing me from being able to ride my mountain bike. And that's negatively impacted my quality of life. And I've been at a dead end for about 6 months now, it feels like. So I'm scared that this doctor's appointment is also going to be a dead end. I'm feeling kind of bad because I was supposed to call my grandma yesterday and I didn't. And she's quite old and doesn't have a lot to look forward to besides calls. So I need to make sure I call her today and also that I'm in a calm mental state so that I can actually enjoy the conversation with her. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. It's actually kind of funny. As I was doing that, I just got kicked into the habit of doing it every morning and almost kind of forgot I was recording a video about this. But anyway, you saw it popped up a message down here that it's transcribing it here. It will probably be done in just a minute or two. So I'll wait for that to transcribe and then I'll pick it up here when it's done. Okay, so here you can see that I have my audio memo transcribed here. It's exactly what I just said. So I'm now going to use Reflect AI palette to format that for me. This was just a general daily reflection. So what I'm going to do is pull up the AI assistant. And I have a custom prompt that will list the key takeaways and action items. And the reason I like using this for my daily journaling is because, as you maybe heard in the voice note, I had a combination of things that were just thoughts and some action items. So I pulled up my custom prompt here. I'll try to include it into the description of this video. I'm really bad about remembering those, but you can see it just formats things into the key takeaways and the action item list below. And here, if I go down here and click replace on that, I need to kind of reformat that so that it appears as a bullet point and not a number, but you can see that all of my things here are now formatted. So I've got the takeaways. I know what I had in my day and I've got the action items. Now, if I wanted to, I could change the custom prompt formatting so that this doesn't say you and it's first person, it says I. And there's also another one that I have. Actually, let me just pull up the AI assistant here. And I have one called daily reflection formatting. And this is where I had a specific daily reflection that involved a reframing exercise. Let's see if I can expand a bit. A reframing exercise that you can put here, a gratitude where I list 5 things I'm grateful for, a top priority and an aspiration. And it just instructs it to take my voice note and format it into this. So even if you have a specific structure that you use for daily journaling or a daily reflection, you can just put that into the AI prompt and it will format it for you so that you have these nice reflections for your daily journal. So again, it's a very simple concept. I know I kind of went over a lot of different things there, but I think this is probably my absolute favorite note-taking device that I use. I do it every single day, and I think that it's helped me more than almost anything else in life in terms of both my mental health, my clarity, lowering stress and anxiety, and even sleep. So if you don't yet have a habit, start today. Just do a simple journal of what's on your mind, a stream of your consciousness, and make a habit of doing it every day. You'll start seeing the benefits real soon.